Man carries a gun, he tends to use it.
Dan, you dead? Pity. I had just ordered a drink from that man.
Took a job looking for some men to join me.
Is it difficult?
Impossible.
How many you got so far?
You and me,
Who's she?
we work for her.
Good Lord.
That's right.
That man murdered my husband.
I want something. I take it.
He will take everything we have.
So you seek revenge.
I seek righteousness, but I'll take revenge.
I need more than a few to help us fight.
What a bunch of misfits we are.
You know how to shoot that thing? I'm good.
So am I.
Who's local, my friend?
Oh, we're good. We got a Mexican. I sense we are bonding. Oh. We got a 7.
He's got an army.
And they'll be murdered by the world's greatest lover.
Why are you here? Fighting someone else's fight.
These people deserve their lives back.
Just make sure we're fighting the battle in front of us, not the battle behind.
Every man's got the right to choose where he dies.
We have nowhere else to go, so...
You ain't never seen a soldier like me. 1, 2, 3, I'm a vigilante. 4, 5, 6, kiss that ass goodbye. When I pull the gun, then somebody gotta die.
What's the plan?
I've always wanted to blow something up.
It's not a plan.
I'ma put your lights out. We can do this right now. I'm ready for war.
How'd we do?
I think we killed them all.
So I guess this makes us the Magnificent Six now.
The
I said
Magnificent
this makes us
Six.
the Magnificent
Yeah, there you
Six.
go. That's right. The Magnificent Six.
There you go.
And the Magnificent
Audience. Guys, how about this? This is the best lineup out. I mean, look at this. Come on, give it up. Antoine, I'm going to start with you. I know that you grew up watching Westerns. When did you get the idea of remaking The Magnificent Seven, which of course is also The Seven Samurai?
When MGM asked me when I'm remake it.
Simple as that?
Yeah, you know, you don't grow up thinking about I'm gonna remake The Magnificent Seven. You know, you just kind of, life just happens. And MGM calls you one day and say, hey, I hear you love Westerns. Would you remake The Magnificent Seven? And I said, no way. And then they said, well, read the script, and I read it, and here we are.
Here we are. And how did Mr. Washington come to be in it?
I just, I read the script, and images come in my head like you dream, right? And I just saw Denzel on a horse coming over a hill dressed in black.
I have the same dream every when I see myself coming over.
So you always dreamed of riding in on a horse,
Always.
shooting them up.
That's how I got here. I rode in on a.
But for real, this is your third movie together after Training Day. How did you guys go about developing the script? Because I know you specifically really like to work on the characters.
Antoine called me, and I read the script and felt his passion and even his. He told me about, he became a filmmaker from watching Westerns as a child with his grandmother, and he had ideas. He brought music and everything. He brought music for me to listen to. So, needless
In a public restaurant.
Yeah, that's right. And we had success together with Training Day and Equalizer, so it was a no-brainer, really.
Now, what about you guys? How much creative input did you have into your characters?
How much creative input? Oh, I just did anything I wanted the whole time. So all of it. Yeah, it was all of me. No, some. You know, some you can't. That's the thing. This kind of a movie, because, you know, Seven Samurai, Magnificent Seven, the root of it's a pretty simple story, you know, and so they just plunked us all out in the hot desert
Louisiana.
in Louisiana. Not really the desert, but it looked like a
I was
desert.
about to
but,
say that's not really, but
And New Mexico.
you know, and yeah, Louisiana, New Mexico. They plunked us out there in the heat, and because you're not spending the entire, it's not a story-driven movie. You know, I mean, it's like not to have a bunch of twists and turns and plot twists and stuff that you have to say that you have to keep the audience in. It's really just these 7 guys get together and save the day against a bad guy, you know? And so with that, we got to just really be these characters, and we all kind of fell into the roles that we played almost in the movie in real life, you know? We all just kind of breathed our own selves into it.
what do you have to add, Mr.
I'm
Hawke?
really good at this, you guys.
No, you're great.
I know what you're
And
thinking.
Ethan,
Nailed it.
After an answer like that,
Yeah, wow.
I think we all should.
Well,
have
yeah,
a moment
follow
of
that.
Orator. Wow.
Ethan, I was gonna, as I told you backstage, it was really nice to see you have swagger. Like your character is just, I love the way he makes his entrance.
Well, a lot of that, you know, Antoine knows how to make a movie. Yeah, I mean, I think one of the fun of putting the movie together was figuring out this band and how to make each one of us different, and how to give us each one our own dynamic. And that was some of the most fun we had. We were out there in the middle of New Mexico, and Byung-Hun Lee, who's my scene partner in that scene, who happens to be a world-class actor as well, is lesser known over here, but he's actually only one among us who's actually made a great Western already. For those who don't know, he did this weird Korean Western, The Good, the Bad, and the Weird, that is absolutely phenomenal. After you see Magnificent Seven, you can go see that. After.
And Vincent, you're the tracker. You're the loner of the group. So how much backstory did you create for your guy?
I created, a lot of backstory. I mean, the one thing about Antoine is it gives us a lot of freedom, and then once we come up with stuff, if he hates it, he just tells us right away no. Or he gives us support from the minute we have the idea till we've executed it. So it's a great company to be in. And all of these guys that were in the movie, they're all the type of actors that take it off the page. They bring something else than what's on the page. And so the combination of having that and the director like Antoine, it made our job so much fun.
Antoine, what was your vision for the film when you first started really developing the script?
It's hard to say because it changes. You know, you watch The Seven Samurai and you go, oof, it's like the Shakespeare of cinema, you know? And we can't redo that movie. And then Sturgis's film, you know, is beloved and it has its own qualities about it. For me, I guess the vision I had for this movie was, it was a mixture of like, these guys are like the Wild Bunch meets the Magnificent Seven or the samurai of that group. They're a little grittier, a little rougher around the edges, a little darker. I think that was the original vision, is that they were a little darker, a little more edgy. And then it just evolved, you know, it just evolved. But I'll tell you this, my vision of it and the vision of the audience, I turned to my editor the first time I saw it in the audience, I said, did I make a comedy and I didn't know it? Because people were having so much fun and laughing, I forgot how much fun it was, you know? So my vision changed once I saw it with the audience.
Who's the best shooter of the bunch?
Chris can hit anything with anything.
Care to elaborate?
That was what I did growing up, you know, it was I grew up in a small place where you could just walk outside and start shooting guns and no one called the cops, so that's what we did. So I had a lot of practice shooting guns. But everybody got really good. We had a great...
Chris grew up in Compton, by the way.
Compton. Yeah, that's right. I did. But we had a great guy. Thel Reed was our gun expert, and this is a guy who's a legend. When he was like 15 years old, he was on Ed Sullivan as a national award-winning sharpshooter, and he's been in the business for years and years and years, and he's coached everybody. He's the greatest in the game, and he gave all of us a lot of pointers, and I think we all got pretty damn good. We spent a lot of time out there.
Yeah. That was.
They said Haley was a good shot. Huh?
Oh, Haley's a great shot. Yeah, she grew up in Ohio, and her dad was a hunter, and so she's shot guns before, and she's, yeah. I mean, as you see, when you see the movie, she's not your typical damsel in distress. She's badass, and in real life, that's the case, too. She's a really good shooter.
And Denzel, how did you approach playing Chisolm? Who, by the way, as I was telling Antoine backstage, man, you look at the guy and you're like, we need one of those today. I wish someone like him could just, take out certain individuals.
Just rode horses and spin guns, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, it starts with my horse. I started riding, I don't know, 6, 8 months out. I would ride 2, 3 times a week, which I really love. Got to know my horse, and it was already the horse I was going to use in the movie, so I got to know my horse and take him out, feed him, wash him, walk him, ride him, talk to him. He talked back to me. And,
what did he say?
well,
it's personal? Okay,
personal relationship, but
That's cool. That's cool.
I was the man in a relationship, I'll just say that. I was the man, okay? Get that straight.
We're going to let that go. I don't want to embarrass the horse. So.
Except that one night. Well, never mind. I can't believe I'm saying that. Denzel admits this. But no, really. Again, I'm in trouble now, right? But anyway, the horse gets to know you, you know, and feel you, and feels if you're nervous or whatever, and you develop a relationship. I can't get out of this. I'm trying.
Very close.
Yeah, I'm close. It's close. And and it was a male horse too. It was, oh no, and you spin guns and all day we're all sitting on the set and just playing with your guns. So you, all right now, just, come on, all right now. Look at you. She's up here blushing. She's like, mm-hmm. Just play with you. I bet you do. Yeah, go ahead. Next question. Go ahead.
I'm still visualizing the romantic dinners with you and the horse. So.
No, but you really do develop a relationship that you can feel the horse can feel you, and you trust each other, for real.
And Antoine, how did you, and I know that you've talked about this ad nauseum, but I really do think it's an important issue to bring up, and I want to ask you, this movie is so diverse. How did you go about casting it?
Just honestly, great actors. You know, that subject is important, obviously, and everyone there's a statement to be made and all that. We just wanted to make a great movie, honestly, and we wanted to reflect what the West was really like, based on all the research and the fact that, you know, people came to the frontier country from everywhere, all walks of life. And the old Hollywood would never show what it really was, and we did. So that's diversity. So right away, when I said I want Denzel on a horse, I want Chris Pratt, I want Ethan Hawke, I want Vincent D'Onofrio, I want Martin, how do you say his name? Spencer? Native American, with a Jewish, who's a real Native American, who's a great-looking guy, great actor, serious. BH, who's Asian, who's Korean. Manuel.
Actually, Manuel was the best gun.
Yeah, he was
spinner.
He was pretty sexy with the guns.
Denzel, I love your hand gestures with the spinning. What that is?
Actually,
I like it.
we CGI'd the guns. I just do that.
No, we did not. No, we did not.
That would have been easier, though.
Actually, you bring up a really good point with the CGI, because there isn't any CGI aside from the mountains, right?
No, we dropped some mountains in, things like that. But other than that, they did.
The stunts are amazing.
The best stunt team I've ever seen in my life.
There's one shot, I won't give it away, but there's one shot in the movie where there's one of the main characters is at a full gallop, and he gets shot, and in real time, you see the cowboy on the horse go off the back of the horse and hit the ground, and it's not CGI, it's totally real. It's hard to believe, but it's really something. Jeff Dashnaw and his sons and their whole crew did all the stunts, and they were amazing.
Amazing. I mean, but not only just the stunts, but we did stunts at the same time. So when you see the trailer and stuff like that, explosions and horses jumping through the air, all that was happening at the same time. So let's say we had 30, 40 horses with stunts all happening. So it's not just one guy flying off his horse. it's several guys flying off the horse and horses running over people, jumping over trenches, running through smoke. Then these guys are shooting and riding down the street like as fast as you can. You need to have a relationship with the horse, for real. Because that horse could just like take him and go right into the fire. Or right, I mean, you know, this thing, there was some big horses.
There was some video. Did you guys see that video of that horse flipping backwards?
Yeah,
There was an explosion, and one horse was in the corral, and he got spooked, and he literally flipped over the rail backwards, got on his feet. He's like, I'm out.
He's like, enough of Hollywood.
Not me.
I'm done. I don't want to be an actor no more.
That's not in the film, though.
Yeah,
you see it in the film.
Oh, yeah, it's in there. Oh, yeah, it's in there. Yep. So, you know, yeah, these guys are amazing. The stunts are 800, I think almost 800 horse falls, more than any film in history, I believe. And these guys are like rough. I mean, hit the ground, break a finger, get back up, want to do it again. Denzel's horse, one time, he's on a...
Oh, that horse.
His horse is beautiful, but when he gets pissed off...
Don't talk about my horse, man.
When he gets pissed off...
When the horse gets pissed off?
Yeah, remember, he tried to stomp one stunt guy. I mean, you know, these things are, you know, you forget how powerful they are. And guy gets up, little blood running down his head. He wanted to do it again. I mean, these guys are amazing. And, you know, let me just say this because it's important. We don't make Westerns like this anymore. We don't. So it's a blessing and an honor to be able to do it with these actors. But to see these stuntmen do what they do and imagine how they did it back, you know, in the day with John Ford and those sort of things, it just blows your mind. You know, and they're not all young guys. You know, they're like, you know, up there, and they're tough as nails. So that's a forgotten art. So hats off to them.
It's really great that you brought it back. For you guys, as actors, was there a boot camp involved, or they just kind of plunk you in the desert and say go?
Well, Baton Rouge is not a desert. Let's make that clear. Baton Rouge is a thriving city. It's going through a lot of problems now, but it ain't a desert, okay? Go ahead.
But it was 105 degrees.
But yeah, it was
105 degrees.
105 degrees and raining. But the boot camp implies that we, I don't know, something you don't want to do. For the whole band that Antoine had gotten together, we all were into it 150%. So guys wanted to wake up early and go horseback riding. I remember I was here in New York a couple months before shooting happened, and Antoine called me up and said, yeah, Denzel's practicing horseback riding. I'm like, uh-oh. You know, I better go horseback riding. And then as soon as we got out there, we were there all summer. Yeah. I mean, it was so much fun to do that together and the way to spend time together. And we watch old movies together and come up with our characters. And, you know, the whole city was built for us. So it was incredibly easy in a way. We didn't have to create the whole world. There were 50 extras dressed in period clothing, 150 horses, buildings. And so it was fun.
Yeah, and there's a lot of training, but it was just, you know, horses, guns. I did, you know, card trick stuff like that. It wasn't necessarily a boot camp where they just crammed us all together and trained. It was, you know, spread out over the course of several months because we knew in advance that we needed to be good at this stuff. And they set us up. The studio, you know, set us all up so that we could train like that.
And I meant boot camp more as a sense of like rehearsal.
Oh, I know what you meant, but it was...
Right. I know what you meant.
No, but you're right in a way because they made sure we all knew what was available to us. All the guns were available. There were shooting ranges available. There were horses and wranglers ready to teach us anything we wanted to know. All we had to do basically was show up and take advantage of that stuff, which these type of actors, they just do that. And so we were all well into it by the time we started shooting.
For each of you, what's the memory that stands out the most from the shoot?
Can I start just because something popped into my head? Because one of the things that happened on the shoot was that James Horner passed away. Yes.
That's his final movie.
He's an unbelievable composer. Yeah, and we were incredibly lucky to have, mysteriously, I'll try to abbreviate the story, but it's very powerful actually, which is that right before he passed away, he composed 7 tracks for Antoine that he sent to Antoine. And so we had these tracks, and the memory that stands out for me is being on set. We were about a month or so into shooting, and it was 105 every day, and it was so exhausting. You started to wonder what we were doing, you know? And Antoine came in and played for us this music, and the hair on my arm stood up, and we realized the challenge in front of us and how big it was and how worth trying it was. You know, I mean, it just was worth trying, and that music was a huge inspiration.
What did it mean to you to have his final music?
You know, that sort of thing is, I can't really put that in words because James never saw any footage. He did it off the script, and you know, life is strange. You know.
Just for you, those that don't know, he passed away in a plane crash.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but the music was amazing. Yeah. But it wasn't just the music. It was early on when you're trying to put together this type of movie or any movie. Movies are just hard to get made sometimes. It's just the nature of putting especially this kind of movie because you got 7 movie stars, you got, you know, scheduling, you got horses, you got all kind of stuff. James sat down with me one day. We were working on Southpaw, and he basically stopped me before we went into his shop and started talking about it. He said, "So how's it going with Magnificent Seven?" I was like, I was whining. I can't get this money. And he said, you know, in Calabasas, they used to have horses come just for no reason. He goes into this flowery story about the horses, and they used to make Westerns out here. And then he just turned to me and he goes, you got to figure it out. He said, you got to do it. He said, it's history. You're never going to get a chance to make a Western. You know, Magnificent Seven. He's like, look at the actors. I said, I don't even think I have money for you. He goes, don't worry about me. I'm in. Don't worry about me. Died, right? After, but that made me go figure it out to make it happen. And I just realized that when we started doing press, that it was actually 7 songs. Like, it just didn't dawn on me for some reason. Like, Magnificent Seven, 7 songs. Like, I didn't think about it. But it was 7 songs that he did before he died. And they're all in the movie, so.
Yes, if there's one sign, it's meant to be, right?
Sorry?
I said if there's one sign that it was meant to be, it was meant to be.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it was, like Ethan said, absolutely worth trying and giving it our best to honor that. So.
And before we go to our audience Q&A, I'd like to hear from the rest of you what your outstanding memory is.
That was one of them. When we were coming across that river and you were playing the music, it was, and we were in New Mexico then, in the big mountains, and it was like, you know, just like, you just start, just like, this is real. You know, we had our own theme song, you know.
Music's echoing through the valley. Yeah, it's so beautiful.
Yeah, we had big speakers out there, and they were coming to the scene where they're riding their horses across the river. And I played the music on the speakers, and it's just
probably our worst acting.
Yeah.
It was
We're doing
beautiful.
is thinking about how good we looked.
It was beautiful. They started leaning a little bit on
7
the
opera
horses.
stars, 7 divas, the magnificent 7 divas.
They're flipping switches on the horses, you know.
Like, I'm King Lear. No, I'm King Lear. No, I'm King Lear.
You know, for me, gosh, there's so many. Anytime this answer would change, I bet you, every time I was asked, you know, because there were so many great moments. But what's popping into my head right now is all of us plus some other actors that, you know, the 7 plus some other actors. We were, I think it was mostly men, and we were sitting around in this room, and we were waiting for the rain to clear, and we just engaged in this conversation that is unlike any other conversation I really have ever had with that many other men. And it was just about everything from life and family and faith and the business and fatherhood, cigars. Everyone was there. And we're all equals, and we were all just having this great conversation. And it was because we just had to pass the time, you know? And to me, that was really special. You guys remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, Vincent was there.
Yeah. I was the darkness in the corner.
The loner, the trapper, sitting in the corner. But do you have a favorite memory?
No, I said mine. I started with the James Horne.
You got to wrap it up.
You know what the favorite memory for me is? When I saw all 7 of them in the street. Like, that gave me chills because they were all in the street together, walking down the street towards the church. And it was like, as a boy, when I was 12, that image right there sold me on Westerns. Yeah. And when I saw my 7 guys walking down the street, I was like,
see why I did the movie?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think there's 2 things I want to say. One is the first time I saw D in his costume on his horse and BH walking beside him. Denzel was coming down this street of the town that they had built for us, and BH was walking next to him, and I just thought, the cool factor of this movie is so damn high. You know, it's like we cannot lose with this movie. Just the image of that will always be in my head, because I looked around and there's Ethan and there's Chris and then Manuel. I mean, these are like, you know, my favorite guys in the world, and to see that image and think that we're all together on this was amazing. And then there was this other day where there was this tragedy that happened in somebody's family. I won't say who. And there was a scene where we were all digging a ditch, and we were really digging the ditch, and Antoine was out there. It was the last shot of the evening. It was dusk. Antoine was out there filming us, and the person that the tragedy happened to had to immediately go home. But there was this one shot, the camera was rolling, and the sun was going down, and suddenly, as this, I know this sounds mushy, but it's all true. The clouds broke, and this big ray of light shot over the top of us, and then all these birds followed the light and just went over our heads. And then we all ended up looking at each other, and Chris looked at us, and we looked at him, and Chris said, I think we should take a moment. Now remember, the camera's rolling, you know, and we all just stopped what we were doing, bowed our heads, and took this moment for this tragedy and the family, and then we just went back to our jobs again. It was like one of the most fascinating things I'd ever been involved with, and in my whole film career.
It was beautiful, yeah. I remember that moment, yeah.
And I lied. I have one more question before we go to the audience. Antoine, every single Western, for it to work, has to have a great villain. Let's talk about Bartholomew Bogue.
Peter Sarsgaard. Yeah, Peter's a great actor. Well, we talked about the villain, and you kind of go down that list of guys, tough guys, big guys, and I said, yeah, we need somebody intelligent and sinister, and I wanted somebody that reminded you of Wall Street today, or politicians today, or people that just take and think they're smarter than everyone else. And I just couldn't wait to kill them off.
That is a great note to go to our audience.
The truth.
All right, guys, I'm sure you have some questions.
Hey guys, such an honor to have all you guys here. So my question is actually for all of you. So what inspiration went into each of your characters, and did you get to relate to any of them?
There was a U.S. Marshal, a black U.S. Marshal named Bass Reeves. I didn't base my character on him, but I read a lot about him and what he did and what it felt like to be. It gave me an idea of what it felt like to be a black man out in the frontier. There was another woman called Big Mary or Black Mary, who was, Black Mary was tougher than the guy. She was known for knocking men out. Somebody said, I got a couple of Black Marys out there. Yeah, Black Mary was known. I mean, she would have a confrontation with a man and say, you know what, let's go behind the barn. And she'd be the one that came out. So it was to reiterate something Antoine said earlier, there were people of all colors that made the not just the West, I call it the frontier because it was the frontier. Tough men and women, black, white, yellow, and whatever other colors there are that made up that frontier.
For me, Antoine and I talked about it, and we talked about what animal this character would be, and it was a fox. And that was something that I took into account when considering, like, the way, my wardrobe and the colors of the clothes that I wore, and sort of, this character's he's a predator, and he's dangerous, but he's also cunning and kind of, clever and funny and stuff like that. So there was that.
I watched, Ken Burns made this beautiful Civil War doc. It's like 10 chapters long, DVDs long, whatever you call it. I watched that whole thing knowing that my character was a Civil War vet and realizing how most of those guys who survived that war didn't survive. And so I just tried to read about those journals and see how those men were and how, there's an expression that is used common now, PTSD or something like that, but it's been around forever, as long as people have been witnessing violence. And I thought it was an interesting thing to have a guy who's in the middle of a, giant macho action movie who's scared. I thought that was kind of an interesting person to put in the middle of this mix.
I wanted to portray a character that was, capable of extreme violence, but also followed God. And I'd never played a character like that followed God. And I thought that it would be really interesting to make it clear that from my character's point of view, that every foot we put in front of the other was God's path for us. So I'd never done that in a character, and I thought it'd be nice. And thanks to working with a director like Antoine, he allowed that to happen, and the writers supported it, and so it was awesome. So that's how I did that.
Next question, please.
How's it going, guys? Right over here. Oh, over here. Did you guys have any hesitations approaching your role or directing the movie?
Yeah, I mean, you always have hesitation directing a movie. You're scared to death directing a movie because, you can fail. And it's a hard job, And also, Seven Samurais, like I said, man, you coming behind Court Sorrow, and then you got Sturgis, But then you got to be brave, because then what? Most stories come from the Bible anyway. So if we don't tell the stories, then they just, die off? So, yeah, I was hesitant, but we did it anyway. So.
That's right. I'm echoing what that lady says.
I feel like I'm too dumb to be hesitant. I'm not smart enough to think ahead like, oh, that could go wrong, Probably a blessing in some ways, I guess. Don't know.
What about
I
you,
was so excited to work with Antoine and Denzel again. When we made Training Day, it was a great experience for me. And so what you don't ever want to do is put water in your beer or just think lightning's going to strike twice, and you don't want to do that. You want to have something to do together that's valuable and viable in a new way. And this wasn't ever in danger of repeating itself. It was just a totally new thing with a new band and a new team, but it was easy decision for me to make.
And what about you, Denzel and Vincent?
What
Any
was the
hesitation?
question?
Any hesitation?
Hesitation? I go back to that horse. No, I think, did you ride before? Yeah, because Vince was like, he really looked like he knew. He took off one day. I was like, damn. He really ride. Yeah, he just like, I'm from uptown. I went to the race. I went to Yonkers Raceway. Horses in Central Park. That was about it. A couple of cops on a horse, but there weren't too many horses in Mount Vernon. So just not overcoming the fear of it, but let the horse take you where you go. Riding him. You're trying to control it, and he's too powerful. But when I finally relaxed and just rode him, he was like, well, come on, I got you, let's go. I was like, oh, shoot. Yeah, I was like, I got into it, Then I came to my senses. No, but it's a big, powerful animal, and you got to respect the horse.
And what about you, Vincent?
Hesitant? No. I knew Antoine, I knew Ethan and Chris, and Denzel Washington's such a high caliber actor. I just it's just like a no-brainer. You're an actor, like character actor, your whole career, and somebody says you want to be in The Magnificent Seven, and this is who's doing it. You're like, yes.
And the movie opens on September 23rd. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.